Welcome back to the program, all of you pure metal fans out there. So today I'm going to do my top three Angelica albums. You may wonder, why not do a top five? That's what I've been doing lately, is top five albums. Well, I believe that Angelica only has a total of five studio albums. So to me, it kind of seems to defeat the purpose of doing a top five if that's all the albums that exist. So I'm just going to do a little, this will be a little shorter video probably than normal, but I'm going to go ahead and do the top three, or my top three favorite Angelica albums. So my opinion as I see it. If you disagree, let me know in the comments below. If you agree, even if you agree, or if you have any other kind of comment, let me know in the comments below. All right, so let's jump in. In third spot for me is, and I just got this, I haven't even unsealed the wrapping, but it's a reissue of this album, and it's remastered. So I'm looking forward to listening to that as being remastered. But so in the third spot, we've got Rock, Stock, and Barrel, and that's the third studio album from Angelica. I haven't listened to this super recently, but I just remember it being pretty strong. And what stands out to me is the Bumble Boob groove. That's the Flight of the Bumblebee, I believe. That I think that Dennis Cameron did a really good job on that one. So, yeah, it's a good album. I think it's solid. I'm not sure if this one has a drum machine or electronic drums like the second one did or not, or if he still was in a position where he had to use that, or because sometimes it's hard to find good drummers, or even drummers at all. And that's, for me, in my experience of trying to play in little bands and whatnot, it's very difficult to find. The hardest thing that I ever was position when I was in bands was to find a good lead singer. So singers are like the number one most difficult thing to find. If you know what I'm talking about, you would agree, I'm sure. And then it seems to me like really good drummers are kind of few and far between too. I think bass players and guitarists are sort of a dime a dozen, but now whether they're really good or not, that's another thing. But still, anyway, it seems like a lot of people want to pick up guitar or bass or something. But anyway, so third spot, my number three position is Rock, Stock, and Barrel. Firmly in the number two spot, I have Walkin' in Faith. So it's their sophomore album. I think it's really the tracks that stand out. I really like the opening track, the self-titled track in Walkin' in Faith, and then there's always the riff. The riff on Time and Time Again really stands out to me too. The biggest weakness on this album for me is the obvious drum machine. It's way too precise, so that and mechanical, so you immediately know that it's most people that understand music or have any kind of understanding of it, or musicians, they're going to immediately see that it's a drum machine. And I can't really blame Dennis Cameron for that, because this came out in 94 or something like that. I don't even know. Yeah, so I didn't do that research on this, but this came out, I think, probably 92 maybe. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in there. But yeah, and Walking in Faith, I bought this. And this is the one I have, this copy that I have is another one, is the reissue, the remastered, because I never bought a lot of these early Christian metal albums on CD, because I usually bought the cassette, because obviously not for quality purposes, because the CD is always going to be higher quality audio, but I had, at the time, I think in the cars that I had, only had cassette players in them. So it's just as simple as that. So firmly. I mean, a lot of really good tracks on here. Like I said, it's been a little while since I listened to this one as well. You'd think that maybe I would listen to them right before I do this review, but or this top three, but I remember most of it. You know, Walking in Faith, Hold On is good as well. Soul Search, time and time again, would be my favorite track based on the riff. Um, I think every song on here is probably very solid. So, number 2 spot of my top 3. And let's get right to the number 1. And I'm sure a lot of you will guess what that is. For a number of reasons, it's number 1. So, and in first place is the debut. You've got your Angelica debut that came out in 1989 with the one and only Rob Rock on lead vocals, except for one track, which is the last track, which is Face to Face, which is the great the great Ken Tamplin on vocals on that one. And I know that he had production. He did some of the production on this as well, I think. But 1989 is a young Christian hard rock metal fan. I was always looking for some high quality metal. So this when this came out and had Rob Rock on vocals, and I was already familiar with Rob Rock because he had been in. Prior to this, I believe he was in Joshua on the Intense Defense album, and also he had done, I was aware of him all the way back to Mars Project Driver, and as well as right after that, I think he did the Impellitteri Black EP with Chris Impellitteri. I believe that's the right order. So number 1 was Mars Project Driver, Tony McAlpine, and the rhythm section for Whitesnake and Ozzy Osbourne. And then he did the Black EP, like I said, and then he went on to do the Joshua record, Intense Defense, and I think this was right after that, the Angelica debut. So all that being said is that I'm a huge Rob Rock fan. I have been since the mid-'80s, probably. And it's obviously a pleasure for me to be able to work with him. So anyway, back to this being the debut with Rob Rock on vocals, and it has real drums. So no drum machine yet. So Dennis Cameron was very impressive to me when this came out because he basically cemented himself a spot in the top 5 or 10 of Christian hard rock and metal guitar players. I mean, you had Rex Carroll, and you had Joshua Pariah was up there too, and Tony Palacios from Guardian, and you have I would say a small minority of Christian metal guitarists that were you'd really consider to be world class, or at least in my mind. And that's not putting down anybody else. It's just, it's hard to be that good. You have to have a lot of natural talent and things like that. So anyway, Dennis Cameron comes onto the scene with this album, and I was very impressed with his sound and his playing style, using a lot of hammer-ons and pull-offs and stuff like that. But very melodic, very good songwriter, good riff writer. And on this one here, there's only one hero as the opener. Like I said, I think I like every song on here. My favorite track by far is Only a Man. I think that's just got a real intense level to it. So, yep, everything on it. I can't say anything much better about this, or much more about how much I love this album, this Angelica debut. Number 1 spot in my top 3. And another track that stands out is Take Me, and then SOS. Face to Face is great with Ken Tamplin. Danger Zone. I think everything on here, there's nothing where I would skip the song. So basically there you have it. This is my top 3 Angelica albums of all time. And, I'll give an honorable mention to Time Is All It Takes. I like it. There's not much to say about it. Like I said, I haven't listened to this in 20 years, but I remember enough to realize that this didn't make my top 3. So we'll give a shout out to this, or a little honorable mention to this guy. So yeah, Time Is All It Takes. Solid album. So with that, if you agree or disagree, whatever, any kind of comment, put that in the comment section below. And, make sure you like and subscribe to the page. Click that little bell so you get the updates. And until next time, keep it metal and aloha.